Welcome to the Middle Age-ish podcast, authentically and unapologetically keeping it real, discussing all things middle-age-ish, a time when metabolism slows and confidence grows. Join fashion and fitness entrepreneur Ashley Bedosky.
I believe as women, we must show each other grace. We must empower each other. We must lift each other up. We are perfectly imperfect, and those imperfections are what makes us amazing. For all of us facing middle age-ish, we got this.
Former Celtic woman and founder of the Lisa Kelly Voice Academy, Lisa Kelly.
I've been fortunate to have forged a career using my voice and telling my stories. Now I have the joy of being able to help others find their voice and use it to the best of their ability. We all have a story to tell, and with age, those stories get deeper and more powerful.
Licensed psychologist and mental health expert, Dr. Pam Wright.
I believe that life is a journey and not a destination. In psychology, we say that middle is muddle, but in reality, the middle can be the best and most rewarding stage of life. I enjoy helping others, and I'm excited for the opportunity to speak with others in this middle ages journey.
And highly sought after cosmetic injector and board certified nurse practitioner, Trisha Kennedy Roman.
To me, aging gracefully isn't about whether or not you choose to grow your gray hair out or get rid of wrinkles. It's about doing what you need to do to be your best self, your most confident self, and to leave a positive mark in this world.
Join your hosts on the journey of middle age-ish.
Hello and welcome back to Middle Age-ish. This is Trisha Kennedy Roman, and I'm joined here today with my co-host, Ashley Bedosky, Lisa Kelly, and Dr. Pam Wright. And we are so incredibly excited for today's guest, Jennifer Norman of the Human Beauty Movement.
So excited. So excited. Have you spoken to her before?
I haven't spoken with her yet, but I've watched her on several interviews, and I think that she's just absolutely amazing. And for our listeners who are not familiar with the Human Beauty Movement, this is a company that really focuses on inner beauty and just beauty in life in general, focuses on human connection and the connection of mind, body, spirit. And they have various online classes, podcasts, blog, corporate wellness. It's just an amazing company, an amazing movement. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Jennifer later on in the program.
The things I read about her were just incredible. It's so nice to see.
so inspiring.
I just love her take on beauty in general. I mean, I work in the beauty industry and in facial aesthetics. Of course, we need to look at outward measurable beauty when we're looking at balance, proportions, and ratios. But I know that beauty is so much more, that beauty comes from within. It's not just skin deep. And that's why I just absolutely love this human beauty movement.
Yeah. And I think for her, like going from corporate world, doing this for someone else, and then like jumping into her own business, I mean, that takes a lot of faith and a lot of dedication and a lot of fear, I will say for me personally, but I know each of you have done your own thing.
Yeah. How did you do it? How did it come about to start your own?
You know, when I started practicing, well, first I was a news reporter, and then I wanted to like go into help other people.
No
and
wonder
so,
you're so calm and confident.
So news reporting, and then I went back to get my degree in psychology. And then I just started practice, and it was so busy and so many people had so many needs that I was like, okay, I can't take on all these people. So now I started a practice, and there's 8 of us, and we have LPCs, like therapists, we have interns, we have social workers. Yeah. So it's just great to have different people to fill in different needs.
Yeah. Right decision. Like we were talking about, like it's such a leap of faith, and you like take that step off the cliff and you're like, please God.
Yes.
I think her motivation in doing this in general is just really neat. And I'm excited to talk to her about her why, of why she created this organization.
Their list of values that they have there is just, I'm going to talk to her about that later.
I know. I've got like a list of things.
I felt reading about her that there was so much that would apply to each of the 4 of us as well. Like, I actually felt like I was going through and go, oh, well, I do that. And I know Trisha does that. And I know Ashley does that. And that's what Pam does. Like, it's amazing to see it all in one. But you manage like 2 jobs. Like you have 2
Well, I'm an
businesses.
empty nester. Remember that always.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
But what makes it amazing is it's just my passion. And that's one thing that resonated when I was looking through Jennifer's bio and what she's done. You know, she started with the cosmetic industry at such a level. And that is that outward beauty. And then you go into the inner beauty.
Right.
And taking care of that and the self-love. And so, yeah, that's what makes running, you know, the boutique and the studio so special is
It
because
you
that's
have
coming
the
from
best
the
of both worlds.
Right,
that's
you
coming from
do.
the inside, and
Yep.
it just makes it even more special.
Yeah.
That's
And,
amazing.
Like for her going from suits to now she's in like yoga pants
yeah.
and like sweatpants and
Yeah.
Suits. Lisa used to be in ball gowns.
Oh yeah, my ball gowns. I know. Yeah, it's so funny when the kids used to come in initially when we started. You know, all the little kids. Like none of the kids now know anything about Celtic Woman. But when I moved here first, they all knew what Celtic Woman was, and they used to come in and they'd look me up and down, and I could see the absolute disappointment on their faces, going, "Where's your ball gown?
Like, where's that person?
Where is she?
Yeah, where's
Why
she?
do you look a mess? This is not. This is
but
not what I'm
I would
used
think
to."
it would make them be like, oh wow, she's like a real person and I'm going to learn so much and I'm not as nervous
They're
because it's
too
not
young.
this.
I think they're too young to ever appreciate that. The older girls probably did, but
Right.
the young ones who just wanted to see you in your princess gown, and which is so funny to me. Like even when that whole concept came up about Celtic Woman to be in ball gowns, it was so far from my realm of comfort. I was like, but I'm constantly in jeans and leggings and Ugg boots. I don't want to wear a dress. It was
you
so weird.
created
It was
magic.
horrible. No, it was a
Yes,
great time.
Okay, so I've always wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
why Ireland to Peachtree City, or how Ireland to Peachtree
My
City?
mom asked me that question too, because I mean,
like how-
she's a huge fan, and she was like, I'm like, I
It's like,
actually
why
don't know
here?
that.
Yeah.
I
So-
don't know.
Well, I Googled the best place to live. I literally did.
Really?
I love
Yeah,
that.
we were actually in New York. My husband was working in New York at the time, and we could. I was at home for one of the few times I was home while he was there, because I was on the road with the kids the whole time. So I Googled. I was at home sitting at the computer, going, "I can't do New York. There's 3 kids, one on the way. This is not going to work." So I Googled the best place to live, and we kept getting like places in Boston. There was a top 10, a pretty serious top 10. I said, "Scott, this is it." Because at the time, like you could fly direct from Atlanta to Dublin. So it was a direct flight home. There had to be a drive-through Starbucks. My needs were very small. There had to be a drive-through
Just
Starbucks.
love you more.
I know, me too. This is why
There
we
had to
connect.
Really good public schools. That was huge on my list, because I didn't go to private school. Everyone in Ireland goes to public school, so I was like, it had to be,
It's gotta be
you know,
good.
it had to be a good public school, and I wanted it to be safe, and I wanted, to open my door and let the kids out. So I sent Scott down here to do a little recce on the place while I was on tour, and he called me and he was like, "You're gonna love this place."
Like a magazine. I think we'll go here.
So
Yeah,
I
it
Google
really
where I'm going
was.
to go for dinner, but you Google where you're going
I
to
agree
know
with where I was
exactly.
gonna
Where are we
live.
going to live, honey?
Well, like compared to New York at the time as well, it was just so much more cost effective. Everything was like just a little easier for us. And I honestly didn't think I'd end up teaching again, although I've always wanted to teach. I come from a family, all my family teach. So
But
it's
talk about
in
like
the
a
blood.
leap of faith. Like
Oh,
that's
total
like,
leap of
yeah,
faith. We didn't know
completely
anybody,
different.
didn't know anything about the area. So that was kind of crazy, but a great leap of faith. I've absolutely no regrets. And anytime, I think
That's
about,
fantastic.
We're so lucky we have you.
Oh, I'm
we
very
are
happy to be here. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Very much home.
And what about you? Because you definitely have changed and done different things.
I've really been doing the same thing all along. I just switched from dermatology to plastic surgery, but it's all been in non-surgical facial aesthetics and cosmetic injectables. And I just love what I do. I've done it for so long now that a lot of my patients have been coming to me for 15 plus years. So it seems like old friends coming back into the office, and I get to find out about what's going on in their lives and with their families. And I really love the teaching and lecturing aspect as well. And something I often say when I'm teaching is that I have never had anyone sit in my treatment chair that I didn't find something absolutely beautiful about them.
I always say that to people about the first thing you ever said to me when I sat down in your chair. That was the first thing you went, "You're beautiful as you are."
But that's so helpful. Yeah, that's so helpful to hear, especially for somebody that you're asking, like, see all my flaws and help me figure out what to do about them.
I don't ever want to change someone's looks, maybe help restore as we age. When people bring a picture of someone else, I'm like, that's not you. That's not your anatomy either. I always say I would love to be 5'7", but that's not ever going to happen. So I don't want to try to change your anatomy to something that you aren't.
But isn't that kind of the common thread in everything that the 4 of us do, though? Because I assume it's the same in your line of work then as well, because you don't really want to change people.
And I definitely don't want to tell them what to do. Or, I mean, I feel like the answer is within each one of us. It's just about bringing out the best and figuring out like what is best for you, what is best for your path. I always say that sometimes therapy can be, you make changes in your life and people don't necessarily like those changes, right? So some people in your life may say, oh, now you're like putting up boundaries or you're doing this and it's not. But really, if it's best for you, that's really what we need to advocate. And I think for women in particular, sometimes it's hard to set those boundaries and do those things. We're pleasers. Typically, we want to do the right thing. We want to please other people. We don't like people to be mad at us. We don't like conflict sometimes. So I think that really just giving them tools to help their life be better and not really looking at the negative. How do you reframe and how do you go with resiliency?
Yeah.
Like bad things are going to happen.
Right.
How do we bounce back from that?
I think anytime you can empower another woman, it's empowering to yourself.
Yeah.
When you realize just the power of making someone feel good. It doesn't have to be a grandiose statement, but it's the little things. And I think as women, and especially as we have aged, we're tough on each other. Like we're our own worst critic. And I know like my goal every single day, whether it's at the studio or at the store, if I can have a client leave with a little bit bigger smile on their face, then I've done a good job. Whether they buy something, that's not, I don't think that's my purpose at this point in my life, is that just the ability to empower someone, that they can see themselves and feel a little bit better about themselves. Because again, we're going to talk about it with Jennifer, but I now truly believe beauty comes from within. Now you can enhance it and you can dress it up.
100%.
But it's that inner that just even enhances the outside. And I think that's what's so powerful that's like the knowledge and that I've received and gained over all these years where I was, when we were in our 20s or teens or 30s, it was like the hair, the makeup, the outfit, that was the main focus. And now as we've gotten older, as I've gotten older, I've actually come to realize that's an enhancement, but it's going to be from inside. And that's just helping women find the beauty within. And then you can enhance everything else. And that just is icing on the cupcake.
Right.
But I love the power of empowerment.
Yeah. And I think that people, especially women, tend to be hard on themselves, like you said.
Absolutely.
The perfectionism, well, I messed this up, or I wanted to go to the gym and I didn't have time. But it's like it becomes like a downfall versus hey, I'm going to give myself some credit that a lot was going on today, and then tomorrow
tomorrow's going to be a better day.
But they give everyone else a lot of leeway. But then when it comes to us, it's like, I didn't do my 5 miles today or whatever is going on. Like,
I haven't done my 5 miles in 5 years.
I was like, I think it ended for me about 35.
But
I don't know if I've ever done that.
That's another flaw we have, though. We spend so much time trying to build up everybody else around us that there just isn't always time for you at the end of the day. But I do think the older we get, the less we compare ourselves, which I think has been, that's amazing.
Yeah, you have to start looking inward.
And just
to be honest.
And letting go of the things like, people are always on their watch, like in my session, like, what are you looking for? Your steps. You're like, did I close my rings? That kind of thing. And I'm like, it's really not about that though. It's like, are you happy? Are
now
you
it's not,
content?
it's not the steps or
how do you feel?
Did I make someone feel better about themselves? Like that's how, when I end a day, that's how I gauge it. Did I make someone smile or feel a little bit better about themselves?
Did you make a difference? Exactly.
And I think just that mindset, once I personally made that pivot, things really started to come into play and you find an inner peace and purpose.
Yeah.
And you're okay giving up some things. Like you have to give up the watch or the whatever but
I don't even have
it's worth
one.
it. See? So it's worth it though.
I don't know how to use one.
Yeah. I was like, well, we all know if I had one, I wouldn't know how to work it.
I don't know how to use it. Yeah. If he's watching or he's listening, he's going to go mad because he bought it for me in May last year for my birthday and I still don't know what I'm doing with it. And I forget to charge it, so it's constantly sitting
God love
on my
him.
wrist.
My husband already knows, like, that don't do that. Don't do that for Ashley because it'll sit in the box.
It's not going to work.
I know this poor child is trying to drag me in. He bought me Lulu pants for Christmas about 2 years ago, and I was kind of like, is that going to happen?
What are those?
What are those? And why would you spend that money on a pair of pants for me that I'm never going to wear to the gym?
Yes. I need some jeans. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's again, I think that's the beauty of coming into this middle age-ish is doing it with grace, but finding it from inside. So that's what I'm so excited
and
about.
Supporting and encouraging other people who are on the same journey.
Because we're all very similar.
Yeah.
Some are just, when we, at the very first one that we talked about, making that bridge, there's those that are a little bit more comfortable being who they are at this point in your life. And then the other ones that are, again, like they're not there yet, but we're all in it together. I mean, you turn 50, you turn 60 at some point. We all have to go through it if we are given the opportunity. It's amazing that women are really, at this point, really embracing who they are and like the gifts they have and just the support system.
I do think there's been a huge change in the way people think. And I think a little bit probably comes from social media when you do see people out there go, no, support people. It's okay to support people. Let's do this. Let's build them up, because you're only as good as the person beside you anyway. So it's
absolutely,
like, just keep building.
I think that's what Jennifer is trying to do. And everything she does on social media is helping people find their own self-love and find that beauty from within and within each other.
You have to be pretty secure in yourself, I think, too, to be able to do that as well. You have to get to a point of, you know, going, okay, well, I have my flaws and I'm not good at this.
It's
and
a life
admitting that you're not good at something. And it's okay that I'm not good at that. I'll never be the party planner that my friend is ever.
Yes.
It's okay.
I will never sing.
Oh, but I so wish I could.
Yeah, same.
It's a nice, it's
We can
a nice
pretend we have the mics.
It's terrifying, but it's a nice little gift to have.
We don't need to do that here. No,
Not today.
not this chair. No.
We can have a little sing-song some night. We'll like put on a karaoke track.
Oh.
And if I bring enough wine, I'm sure I can convince you.
As long as the
You can.
camera's
but
not
it
on.
ends horribly.
I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. I've only ever had 2 people.
Oh my gosh.
can't
Okay.
sing.
So one of my lifelong best friends, this is going to totally go off subject, but something like that. My husband and I went to visit her and her husband earlier in the year or last year for a weekend. And they have like this basement is just tripped out. It's so amazing. And they have this fantastic karaoke machine. And so of course, you know, after a couple whiskeys and wine, and so it's just an all-out party. And I remember waking up the next morning and my husband was like, oh, baby, like, honey, like, you just can't. I love you. And you were so happy.
Karaoke, in your defense, karaoke is super difficult to do.
Yes.
Like everybody struggles.
Oh, but I just had the best time ever. But that's why I know that you were like, oh, we can do this. I'm like, no, we can't. Nope.
Yeah, and you think if you know the song, it's going to be good, but
yeah.
it makes it worse because you're like, oh, is that word? Because you're like,
I know,
reading it, and you're like, I never knew that. Saying that.
You sang it one way.
How many times did you guys do that when you were younger and you were like singing a song out and you're like, and then you hear the words and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what it sounds.
My horror moment is being in the car when I was about 10 or 11. Singing Let's Talk About Sex with my mom and dad in the car because it was playing in the car all the time.
Yes.
I had no idea the words I was singing. And they were just like, just keep driving.
Yep. Yeah.
We're going to take care of this later.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about music and lyrics, when the kids were little, I thought I was going to be a super cool mom. And I found this song that was really popular. And so I found the E version. E, I thought was for everyone. Well, in music, E is not for everyone. That is for explicit music. So my kiddos are young and I'm driving in the car saying, hey, look what mommy's got for you.
No.
And the hippest mom.
You are the hippest
in
mom.
Peachtree City.
They're like, Mom.
Let's go rolling up to preschool.
I know. You're like,
some of the words.
Some of the words
are
you're just like, wait, what? You're trying to sing. Isn't that what?
I know. This is where I'm talking about the cultural difference.
Yes.
Wouldn't have crossed my mind. We don't shy away from songs in Ireland that might not be child specific, you know. And so years ago, I wouldn't have even crossed my mind. But these days I go, is that appropriate?
Not do that. Yes. Is this inappropriate?
I
You're
don't
in
need
the
to just
South
listen
now.
to it. I actually need to see it written out.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think that's a real American thing that I don't think that would cross the minds of most Irish people. It's mad to me that music, though, would create that kind of awareness in parents too. And I mean, I know you don't want your kids going around saying all those words, but when I think of something like one of the times we were doing, one of the classes I had, we were doing a song from Les Mis, which like I spent a lot of time teaching musical theater, singing classical or musical theater because it teaches you how to sing. It's like the proper way to sing and you can transfer it over. One of the girls I was teaching, there's a line in either On My Own or one of the girl songs. And she says, so different from this hell I'm living. So I didn't think anything about it. And I was teaching it and she's like, I can't say that word. I was like, what word? And she was like, HE double hockey stick.
God love her.
What? So she says, yeah, is it okay if I use the word heck instead? You can't. Oh, no, you can't. Substitute the word.
Yeah, you're taking away
But
the
that was my
choreographer.
first,
Yes.
that was my first, awareness that, oh, this might be a problem here.
We're going to have to pivot.
We're going to have to pivot.
Yeah,
We have to change. Now I can't do Les Mis. That means Eminem is off the list.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That one,
different song.
that was going to be
Yes.
for next year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Madness.
All right, guys. Well, we are drinking wine, and we don't want any of us to start singing except for Lisa. So this is a perfect time to bring in our guest, Jennifer Norman of the Human Beauty Movement.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to
We
our
are
party.
so excited to have you join
Wow,
us.
This is such a great setup you guys have.
So cute. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, are you sitting in the order of your names? Ashley, Lisa, Dr. Pam, and Trisha?
We are so out of order, but that's just kind of the way that we
that's
roll.
okay.
Are you you're based in LA, yes?
I am based in LA, yes.
Nice.
Well, we've been talking about the Human Beauty Movement for a while now, and we're just super excited to find out your story and how this came about.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yes. Goodness, I'm a Korean American adoptee, and I was raised on Long Island in New York for a couple of decades and then made my way down to Virginia, DC, and ended up going to business school at Georgetown University. And then after that, I was recruited by L'Oreal. And that started a 25-year career in the traditional beauty industry, which was
Wow.
fascinating. So it was all about lipstick and nail color and hair color and body creams and face creams. I ended up moving to Los Angeles about the year 2001 and decided that I loved the sunny weather out here and never
Don't
turned
blame
back.
you at all.
Yes. Same.
Never turned back. Yeah, it really just thins out your blood so quickly.
Yes.
And I really, took a liking to the just feeling natural and whatnot because, back when I was younger, I'm 52 now, so appropriate for a middle-ages show, right?
Perfect.
Yes.
I will say I feel younger now than I did back then when I was in my 20s. And the reason why is because I was burning the candle at every end imaginable, living and working in Manhattan, partying way too hard, spending all my money on just frivolous things. And I just felt like I was really burning out. Plus, I ended up getting divorced at 28. My first marriage, I call the starter marriage. So I got married at 24, divorced at 28, and I just felt old. I
Yeah.
felt like washed up, and I was 28 years old, and I was like, "Gosh, is this really what I have to look forward to?" And I was like, "You know what? I need to get into a healthier lifestyle, or else I could just see myself not doing very well at all." And I also recognized that I suffered from seasonal affective disorder. And so whenever it would get cold and rainy or snowy, I just felt really, really bad. And I realized, gosh, I need the sunshine. I need to feel nature. I need to be around, some trees and green, for more months out of the year. And so coming out to Los Angeles was a nice change of lifestyle. It was a fresh start for me. And it really caused me to think about my health and my wellness a whole lot more. And I really just kind of slowed down and got into a better pace. And I think that I just ultimately felt myself thriving a little bit more from one perspective. And so, into my 30s, into my 40s, I ended up getting married again, had a child. And then, strangely enough, my child came down with or was diagnosed with a very rare disease at the age of 2 years old. And so all of a sudden, I'm thrown from this place where I was like real tiger woman, young go getter, career woman in New York to settle down, married, really working on my health to all of a sudden having a health crisis with my very own son. And so it really causes you to shift your mindset once again about what are the priorities in life, where, what are the next stages, all of these, wonderful doors that close and then open into new opportunities. And what tends to look like, either dead ends or crises, it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for a new awakening. This is an opportunity for me to learn something and to really step into the person that I am becoming. And so, interestingly enough, in caring for my son, who is a survivor, he wasn't supposed to make it and past 3 years old. And this year he'll be 17.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's
he's
amazing.
Great. Mhm.
yeah, but he's definitely been my greatest teacher. And
Mhm.
so for the past 16, 17 years of caring for him, I've recognized how precious life really is.
Mhm.
Because here is a boy who, now when I talk severe, I mean pretty severe. Like he lives on a ventilator. And this is
Mhm.
before COVID, before ventilators were chic, mind you. But
Mhm.
he was on a ventilator, extra oxygen. He's non-mobile, non-verbal, eats through a G tube, has a tracheostomy, and has pretty much round the clock care. And so, the interesting thing that I have recognized is a lot of people, when they look at a disabled person, might be like, "Oh, that is so sad, and I'm so sorry for you." And they're always looking at like, well, what is the comparison to normal?
Mhm.
Versus when I have gotten to look at him and I've seen him at his, most severe and most critical, and on his best days, he's pretty sleepy, but he's alert, and I'm like, gosh, look what his body can do.
Yeah.
Like the
Mhm.
human body is so incredible, and we take so much for granted.
Mhm.
The fact that he can still see, and even though he needs support, he can still draw breaths, and his cells are still growing, and he's still able to digest, and his heart's still beating. Like there are so many magnificent, wondrous things about human life that I just step back and I'm in awe of, because I think, every breath we take, it's a gift.
Yep. It's
Mhm.
true.
Every day that we
Amen.
wake up, it's a
True.
gift. And yeah, we complain about this and we complain about that, but ultimately, isn't it amazing to really be here for another day? And I never take for granted being able to meet new people just like yourself. I'm like, gosh, what are the odds that we would talk
We say
together
that
and
all the time.
yeah,
No,
and
How
have
did this
a
happen?
conversation? It's just like this universe is so amazing.
It
And
is.
so, yeah, I find myself just sitting back in the present moment a lot more and in wonder. And so that's why I feel so appreciative. It's like, yeah, I'm 52 and I feel like my life is constantly beginning. But every day is a fresh new day, and that it's always a new start. And lo and behold, I mean, only 3 years ago, I decided to kind of hang up my corporate job and go out and hang my own shingle up and start my own company. And usually people would be like, oh my God, forget about it.
Yeah.
Being that
Mhm.
old and starting something new, like, that's very difficult to do. But I'm like, why not? Why not at all? I think that we put all of these self-limiting beliefs on ourselves and what's appropriate or what's right or what success looks like. And we just need to throw all that out lately. I just
Mhm.
think that it's it doesn't serve us any good to put these invisible walls up,
True.
being women, being older,
Yep.
it's just like these are advantages now.
It's
They
very
really
true.
are. That's what we talk about all the time, is that this is like the best new chapter.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
because I think like
Yes.
what you're saying is like we've come through so much. We have so much experience and wisdom through the trials and the tribulations and all of that. And so now we sit here with that, I know I love how you're always like with the mind, body, soul connection. Like I love that. I believe that. Um, and I think that comes with age.
Yep.
Like that's,
Mhm.
I know for me at almost
Mhm.
51,
Right.
I, I, through all those trials and tribulations and changing and everything is where you now do get that sense of inner peace, where each day is such a blessing.
Mhm.
Um, and you see it almost like with eyes of wonder, like what's today going to be like? So I think it's magical that you're doing what you're doing, and with such just an open heart, and changing the way women look at the age that we are at now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, thinking about how it was in the beauty industry, talking about how, the perspective or the perception of women, there was a time when I was, younger marketer in the beauty industry, and they were like, well, the sweet spot for beauty is 18 to 34. And I'd be like, well, what happens after 34? And it's like, oh, no one cares about beauty after 34.
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
oh, really? And I know that's, that's
Yikes.
absolutely changed, but it was just amazing how many people back then thought like once you turn, call it 50, you're invisible. Like
Yeah.
no one is interested in you. Nobody, you don't really care about the way that you look anymore. And it's so refreshing to see that that's no longer the case, that
Mhm.
we're continuing to up the ante on what beauty means from an individual perspective
Mhm.
rather than what media dictates. We're about celebrating our individuality, our own bodies, our own uniqueness, our own shapes and sizes and skin tone. And so there's interestingly, I think the younger people get it. And so it's probably more about the women our age who still have some of these hangups and are still feeling like they're stuck in this age old mindset. And so certainly my role I feel is to help people understand the inside out nature of beauty, the mind, body, soul perspective of beauty, and that beauty really is so much more felt with the heart than it is seen with the eyes. I mean, when people say, "Oh my gosh, that is person, she's such a beautiful person," or
Yeah.
"He's such a beautiful
Mhm.
man," they don't really think about the looks. It's
Mhm.
like, what is the heart about? What is the soul about? What is that aura that they're emanating? And is it filled with love and kindness and compassion? And those are really the aspects of beauty to get to. But a lot of that comes through, the work of self love and self
Mhm.
acceptance. And there are so many folks, and myself included, when I was young, I went through this crazy, crazy ass identity crisis because being adopted, I had no idea who the heck I was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
and I just felt like, I never saw myself in the media. I never saw myself in my neighborhood. I didn't have parents that looked like me. And so I felt like I was constantly searching for cues of who I was. And it left me feeling really empty. And it was really this very long journey, which took, almost 50 years to come back to myself and to really truly understand myself, to love myself and appreciate, my whole being. And so that's what I started in terms of the human beauty movement. My company is really all about helping people understand that they matter, they're beautiful, and that they belong. No matter what age, race, belief, skin tone, gender, who they love, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has a story to tell, and everybody is important, and they matter. And yeah, and particularly middle-aged people, I know that a lot of times people cringe when they hear middle age. But yeah, we wanted to, I think that, you guys are doing a great job at turning it into more of a celebration. Like this is a new start.
Very much so. We're different now than we were when we were younger. And so
Thank
it's,
goodness.
yes, but looks wise, it does that you can be very hard on yourself because
Mhm.
beauty when you're younger is a lot different than as you get older and you start, when you're younger, it's very much on the outside. And as you get older and you start looking at beauty on the inside. And I was thinking as you were coming on and thinking about the name of your company and thinking of the word beauty and how it has such a warm beauty just is a happy word. If you think it was beautiful weather
Mhm.
outside, it's, this beautiful painting. It brings such a good feeling, just the word beauty.
Yeah, and it's interesting how, certainly the word beauty has in the past connoted female and feminine. It's always been associated with women, but I think that there is an opportunity now that, gender walls are breaking down for us to really understand like the beauty of the human being.
Mhm.
I will typically say, and sometimes I get a little bit of backlash about it, which I appreciate, is that, I myself am not a feminist. I appreciate the feminist movement and I know what it's for and I feel like it's very important, but I'm not a feminist, I'm a humanist.
Mhm.
And so I say that different than what the original connotation of humanism meant, which meant that, we are humans without souls or without God. I really believe that we're spirits having a human experience right now.
Mhm.
And so, when I say we're humanists, it's almost like a double entendre by saying, like, we're all these beautiful souls that are here together trying to figure ourselves out. And, let's kind of figure out this thing called life, as Prince says, and, really understand the human condition and recognize the things like the ego, which cause us to feel individual and separate and this kind of physical power versus this underlying unity, which is less visible, but is something that we perceive when we've got things in common and that we have things that we feel an affinity to because of similarities or, a similar trait and things like that. So yeah, there's so much more, of course, that binds us together. And what can we do to lessen the things that divide us, and keep us apart and fighting? I really
Yeah.
want to try to weigh in on what
Mhm.
we can do to reach and push towards more love, and really walk away from the things that have been in our past in terms of infighting and restrictions and limitations.
I've thought this before, and it's such a simple concept, but if everyone would just be kind to everyone
Oh,
else,
yeah.
I know, because
everything would
kindness
be okay.
matters.
Can make a
Just,
difference.
yeah.
The little things, like we were talking about, it doesn't have to be big things. It's just being
Yeah.
kind.
I love your approach. I read your values just before we came in on your website, and I just totally related to them. They're just so gorgeous. But then I was thinking, oh, I'd love to do that in my business. And it's very easy for me to do that in my business because it's only me. But I'm really interested to know how you've managed to grow such a business and to be in, like, especially stepping out of the corporate world and going out on your own and creating this wonderful business. How do you maintain those values? Because there has to be times that you're like, mad, or you find it harder, or people take advantage of your kindness.
Well, I'll tell you that to me, there is no business without values.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that any company is a company based upon the brand and what that brand stands for, or what that business stands for. And fundamentally, those are the the underlying values. And so that was the first thing that I set out to do, is make sure that I had fully articulated out the values of my company, and that I would hold myself accountable to them from beginning to end. And so the four tenets are, kindness, trust, inspiration, wellness. And so, those are the things that the company will always stand for, and which will never deviate from. The idea of self-love, self-acceptance, and then radical self expression. Like, those things are what I stand for, and that catalyzes and draws other people to be like, yeah, this is something that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. It's something that is really needed in the world,
Yep.
and it's something that I can really get behind. And so there is no there could never be a walking away from those values for me, because that would be just like walking away from myself,
Of
because they're
course.
so ingrained into who I am now, and into what I want to serve the world with. Um, so yeah, I do not, and I know that there's lots of different discussions about, kindness. Is kindness weakness? Is kindness being taken advantage of? And to me, it's interesting, because I think that a lot of times people do get wrapped up in the ego, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
somebody may take advantage of you. And I'm like, if they do, that's their
Right, that's on
concern.
them.
Yeah.
That's not going to prevent me from being kind to somebody. It's not going to prevent me from trying to help somebody. Even if somebody were to swindle me, then the karma's on them, not
Of
on me.
course.
Right.
Of course. Do you feel that because you fulfilled so much in your own career prior to doing this, that it was easier for you to have less of an ego going into something like this? Did you feel
Well,
very fulfilled in your own career?
yeah, I would say that there were a lot of things, as you're kind of walking through life, and you see things that really, you probably have these in relationships, or people that you meet, or companies that you work for, where things just don't, they don't sit well with you.
Yeah.
They feel unsettling, or they feel like they're just not aligning with you very well. And that happened time and time again when I was working for larger companies. I would be like, you know what? That decision, just really, mm, I don't know if that would, met with the highest integrity, or
Right.
as a marketer, I don't know if I feel really good saying these things, because, and so it really, got to a point where I had to be like, I got to stand for something or I'll fall for anything.
Absolutely.
And really be true to my own self. And again, that's why I set the company up with such strong and indomitable values, because that's really what I wanted to have to set myself apart from the experiences that I've had before in other companies. And so, yeah, beauty is nothing but ego.
Yeah.
In terms of the way that the traditional beauty industry had operated. And it really was about, oh, okay, you have a problem, let's fix that. And calling out the problems. And the more problems that we could point out and the more insecure that we could make you feel, the more money that we could pry out of your wallet. So, rather than doing that, doing things in a different way is perhaps not as compelling a sale, but ultimately I feel like it's healthier and it's a more mindful way of going to market.
It's
It
amazing.
matters.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Such an amazing
I've
company.
read a lot of interviews that you've done in the past, and I'm just amazed by all the different roles that you have. I mean, just owning your own company, dealing with your son, who has this illness, and all the different things that you do. So I'm just curious, like, how do you find balance with all the different roles that you play?
Yeah, I have definitely made sure that I take time for rest. There had been years where rest was a luxury. And so now that things are a bit more stable, I take those moments of solitude, and I do my meditations and I really, do my gratitude practice, which helps keep me grounded. And the nice thing is that when you're working for yourself, you can be so much more nimble than you can with larger companies. I mean, the amount of time wasted, I feel like in large, it's just insane. And so I feel like I get so much more done and have so much more productivity when I'm just like, okay, I'm the boss and I say, go, let's go. Get things done very quickly. And so, but notwithstanding, a lot of times as an entrepreneur, a lot of people will say that the more time you give a project, the more time it will take. And so it's like water and it will just fill up all the nooks and crannies of your life if you let it. And so I do, there is that tendency because I just love what I do. And so I'll be working at it until, 10, 11 o'clock at night, sometimes into the wee hours of the morning because I'm just passionate about it. But it fulfills me. And so to me, it's not like it's burning me out. To me, it's actually just like a love and a passion. So, but I balance those moments out with, great periods of rest and making sure that I get a lot of revitalization or replenishment time. So do my hiking, my walks. I've got great support. I've got a cute little dog that keeps me sane. So
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I love that the genuineness of like, that's who you are and that it's fulfilling you to be able to like work on that and to like give more to other people. It's just genuine of who you are.
oh, thank you.
I think it's amazing because you are such a good example of just when you find your purpose, you find your peace.
Yep.
And then everything kind of falls into place. And so I think that's like the beauty of what you're speaking is just that is a perfect, and you are a perfect example of finding that purpose and then finding the peace and then how that manifests into every aspect of your life, like you said, but then how it grows from there, from the inside out. And then what you can see the beauty of what you create by just being true to yourself and to your passion. And I think it's just magical. I think it's so encouraging.
And that goes for everyone. And it's a hard lesson to learn, especially when you don't accept yourself and when you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. And because when you feel insecure and you're resonating with nervousness and this insecurity, then you are saying, okay, well, maybe if I was more like that person, or maybe if I acted like this, then that person would like me. And so you're trying so hard, and you're really not serving yourself. You're trying at the behest of others, and you're not really even doing a very good job at it. And so if you almost just get to that place where you can just surrender and be like, you know what, I'm me, I'm going to just be me. And this is and then really be like, I know I'm okay with me. And actually, I have a lot to offer. And, I'm not perfect, but if I these are the things that I really love to do. This is really what keeps me going. These are the things that I'm really passionate about. And following that, then you flow, then things become more natural. Then you become more assured and more confident because there's no other way that you'd rather be. And then you attract your kind, you attract people
Mm-hmm.
who are like you. And so then the prosperity just kind of builds from there. It's the law of attraction. So yeah, it was something that I could not naturally do for many, many years until I all of a sudden, just really had, a lot of just practicing and engaging and recognizing, this is the key to happiness. I'm not going to find happiness outside myself. I am responsible for my own happiness. I'm
Yep.
responsible for how I feel. Nobody else can make me feel a certain way. It's really, anything is always this reflection of
Mhm.
my insides. And so if you can just stand for pure positive energy and pure love and radiate that out into your life as best as you can, then yeah, you're doing great.
I
I
think
love
too
that.
when you're talking about a gratitude journal and just obviously you've had a lot of challenges and just finding the beauty in every challenge and finding the blessing in every challenge. I think that attitude is just really inspiring.
It's interesting too because I had a number of different calamities happen, all at once. It was like, my son had gotten diagnosed. I found out my then husband of 10, 11 years was cheating on me like the whole entire time. My stepdaughter's mother ended her life. And, it was just like really like one thing after another. And I think that when things like that happen, it's like the universe is giving you a sign. And the first inclination is to say, why the heck is this all happening
Mhm.
to me? What did I do to deserve this? And you feel like a victim. You're like,
Right.
oh my God, like what else can possibly go wrong? What else can happen? And then I just let this wake up call one day where I was like, you know what? All of this stuff can make me really bitter. And I can go through the rest of my life being this bitter person and being, and having it just eat myself up like acid, or I can be better. So bitter or
Mm.
better, I'm going to choose to
I
always be
love that.
better.
Yep.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a choice. It's an active choice. And once I realized that, it's like, I always now look at any event, anything that happens in life is neutral. The way that I react to it
Mhm.
is everything. So if I stop and I just think and give myself that pause to say, this is an opportunity to be better. And so that builds resilience, it builds compassion for others that may wrong you and just seeing things always as for the better.
I
I
love
think you
that.
missed your calling as a psychologist.
Yes.
Definitely a lot of like, it's hard to get to that point for people. It's amazing that,
Yeah,
that's where you are.
it is. It's very hard. And it's I think when you get into the habit of spiraling down,
Mhm.
because I think, when we are faced with, stacked on crises as all of us have over the past 3 years, between COVID, health, the
Mhm.
economy, politics,
Yeah.
wars, the environment. It's like, there's just so many things that are happening. And we got to cut ourselves a break too. We
Mhm.
always have to recognize there are times where you just got to be like, okay, I need to tap out. I need my quiet time. I need to chill or else something,
Mhm.
this might not be good for anyone.
Yeah.
So, walking away, taking those
Mhm.
breaths, working on, uh, understanding that it's okay to feel all the feelings. It's
Right.
okay to go through the grieving process. It's okay to be pissed. It's okay to feel mad, all of that. But, try to do your best not to sit there and wallow there and stay there. After a while there's always going to be like, okay, take a breath, let's move forward.
Mhm.
Well, we definitely think you're so inspiring. I just absolutely love your attitude. And I've picked up several things you've said today that are going to be my new mottos in life. I would love for our listeners to find out where they can find all about the human beauty movement because I think it's a beautiful movement.
Yeah, the easiest thing, feel free to Google the Human Beauty Movement, and that's our handle across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. And yeah, I would love for anybody, I invite you to take a look because we do have virtual events and we have these wonderful workshops and classes. Some of them are really great for stress release and meditations and things like that. We have other ones that are super fun, like tarot. We just had a couple of tarot, which I know nothing about, but I had a blast, just
Okay,
kind
I
of
love
like,
that.
I'm such a novice. I'm like, and it was it's just so fascinating to me. But yeah, it just the idea of coming together and really kind of, understanding that, yeah, we're going to take this time out for ourselves. We're going to learn something new, have some fun, meet some new people. And, it's what community is all about.
That's really awesome.
Fabulous.
Well, we really appreciate your
Yes,
time.
thank
it was
you so
absolutely
much.
wonderful.
Thank you so
It's
much.
been an
Maybe
absolute pleasure.
Lovely
Yes.
to be here.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, I literally could
Loved
feel
her.
her. I could
Me
feel her
too.
energy.
Loved her.
She was so
Loved
good.
her. Yeah, she's great.
So I think this is exactly, Trisha, what you set out to do, is to show women that at this stage in our life, it's beautiful. And we have gone through all the flames and the fires, and to come on the other side and have such a sense of peace again and purpose.
It stands for everything. Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly
She
like,
stands
again,
for everything that we're trying to do.
that's what I want for my friends. That's what I want for you guys, clients, is to get to that point where each day, yes, you're going to have moments of madness, but there's such a sense of peace and joy.
And knowing that it's all a choice too, for her to go through all of those, traumatic things all at one time, and then just say, you know what, I have a choice. And as women, we have a choice.
She picks joy.
Yeah. I have a choice to either let this, be toxic or to get better.
You guys are absolutely right. And I hope that everyone listening to this episode realizes that there's beauty within each of us. There's beauty all around us, beauty in life, and beauty in being kind to others and lifting others up. So we hope you enjoyed listening to Jennifer as much as we did, and we look forward to having you join us again on Middle Age-ish.
Thank you for joining the ladies of the Middle Age-ish podcast as they journey through the ups and downs of this not young, but definitely not old season of life. To hear past episodes or make suggestions for future episodes, visit www.middleageish.com. That's www.middleageish.com. You can follow along on social media at Middle Age-ish. Also, if you have a moment to leave a review, rate, and subscribe, that helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Middle Age-ish podcast.